Good afternoon, David Atkins, Targeted Individual. I'm going to start out. I'm doing off Robert Duncans' book project Soulcatcher. And this chapter is going to be called The Ghost in the Machine and Dooms of Destruction. And I'll be explaining Chatterbox's thought and mind interface and the Alice program. These are pretty stuff. As you know, Robert Duncan worked for the NSA and helped create this, realized that he had created stuff used bad against the humanity, and started exposing it. Also, I will be making videos every day this week. Stuff's going on crazy around the house, just crazy stuff happening. People showing up on my camera and just drones, lasers, everything, and I got all the proof. So, and it's been dispersed to certain people that, I'm just like letting you know if I have not made videos every day this week and I was murdered and kidnapped. I'm just letting you know. So anyway, I'm going to start out with a Bible verse, and it's 2 Timothy 4:16. At my defense, no one supported me, but all deserted me. May it not be counted against them. So a lot of people desert us, and I know you TIs can understand, and they don't support you because they've heard rumors or lies about you that are totally not true. So anyway, I thought that was a good Bible verse. All right, let me get started. The Ghost in the Machine. We control your machines. We control your beliefs. What are the applications of such program? Vernacular context switching is very much related to brainwashing and personality simulations. They certainly can be used to alleviate loneliness or make a person isolate themselves because they don't feel the need for human companionship. But of course, it has more greater ramifications. It is interesting to note, after reading CIA scripts used for Alice in Wonderland, that they use these chatterbots based on Alice during disablement through distraction to make people talk in order to spill their secrets or make them look crazy. To summarize, there are some applications of chatterboxes for DoD human experimentation and weaponization. Personally induced inductions and simulations, experimentation with different personalities, temperament, and vocabularies, personality overlays, collecting toxic thoughts and vocabulary to neurally, linguistically program a target with dial-in lethality, talk the target to their death, used for occupation of a target's mind, keeping the target mind entrained, mental disablement, menticide, neuro-linguistic programming, and brainwashing, replacement of Dr. Ewan Cameron's 2-track brainwashing techniques, improving the training and set in chatterbox probability matrices. These chatterboxes, aka chatterbots, are designed by the CIA for the menticide, mental disablement, driving the target crazy with voices, brainwashing, hypnosis, but mostly important in training the target mind. Entrainment for remote neural renditions is important in terms of aligning the human algorithms. Less sensory stimulus. Isolation causes the brain to focus on external entrainment signals in what is termed a runaway process. The brain wants to correlate and make sense of input. The structure does not know that the external energy is altering its patterns. The person's mind can be tricked into believing that these external signals are real input from their senses and perceives them exactly the same. Maintaining cognitive alignment and interest in its external entrainment bio-amplifies all the other external signal inputs into the brain. Additionally, the chatterbox are used for mind probing, both in the physical form or direct neural encoding for interrogations that are not obvious to the target. Chatter is a term used in the intelligence community. It is used in the context of all forms of communication media. It helps judge where the mindset of any society going. It's a metric meant to judge how opinions and information are flowing in growth. Ideally, governments use it to judge unity of tribe and intervene if there's divergence and potential civil unrest. Normally, communication has a purpose: build trust in relationships, transfer information, declare needs and emotional state, and persuade a belief. There are concepts in artificial intelligence and natural language processing. However, the flaws of these chatterboxes are easily discovered because they lack several of the aspects of communication directives, despite the subterfuge of key phrases that sound as if the bots can reason and remember. This is called the Turing test. Can a human being be tricked into believing that it is talking to another human being when they're actually talking to a computer? Complex chatterboxes use heuristic rules and conversational patterns to instigate and maintain a dialogue. With radio frequency intracerebral control, there is an additional benefit that emotions can be correlated to phases and felt by the target. This increases the convincingness of the chatterbox. Additionally, specific evoked potentials in the target brain determine emotional response, thereby allowing the chatterbox to learn and adapt to phrases that engage the target's mind the best and reuse them. Many inciting phrases lose their effectiveness over time due to desensitization. There are three main categories of heuristic rules in the CIA's version of chatterboxes. Instigator phrases. These phrases start as non-confrontational conversation and make the human believe they're talking to another human being while keeping their interest. Examples of these phrases are, I have something important to tell you. I have a question for you. Inciting phrases. Inciting phrases use an emotional response. Popular examples from research study are, holy shit, oh my God, you are such and such, we hate you. Humans have a very difficult time resisting to responding to inciting words, plus exclamatory hyperbole. Conversational patterns. These very large correlation matrices try to indefinitely engage the target in conversation of popular interest. The internet and television engages the mind in similar fashion. These matrices are specialized to the target based on their emotional reaction where they cannot help themselves but to respond about the topic of interest. The DoD CIA's chatterbox adapts and learns which phrases and sentences are most effective. They're used in automation on the victim of CIA torture to keep the psychological wounds reopened and festering without even doing more to torture them. This is probably a twisted, clever way to get around international and constitutional law as these entities justify it. Chatterboxes as well as psychic soldiers often use first-person scripts with this technology. Its purpose in the program to target to believe that his or her own inner voice is talking. The target will often believe this and possibly follow through with the induced commands and opinions just as a child might act out when they see on a violent video game or TV. An example of this first-person script, part of remote manipulation experiments, is to make them do it themselves. Programmer/interrogator verbal speech. Quotation, you are a coward and won't kill General blah blah blah. A small pause, yes I will, just you watch me. The first-person scripts differ from the third-person hypnotic repetitive suggestion, such as kill yourself. This is NLP suggestion. It's important to get a sense of the subject speech pattern to make the first-person scripts more successful. In one mode, the inner voice telepathy doesn't have a perceived auditory difference between the various people in the control and hive mind. No voice transformation is used. The subject's mind will confuse his or her own thoughts with those injected is the goal. These processes are turned automated with artificial intelligence chatterboxes. The chatterbots can actually access episodic memory once the brain is serialized into thinking in words, verses, pictures, and therefore makes them useful in probing a mind. This will be the discussion of the next section about thought and thought amplification and mind interface. The thought and memory interface for what or T.A.M.I, for what the CIA DoD calls experimental interrogation techniques. And this is in a gray box. It says many CIA scripts for neurocommunication war games use religious metaphor. The Holy Ghost is often called Colonia and Casper the Ghost. Jesus' complexion using delusion of grandeur. You are the one. Religious metaphors from Roman to Christian permeate the name of military weapons such as angel fire for anti-missile systems on fighters, HARP for global communication and directed energy weapons system in Alaska, Medusa or Gabriel for voice of God weapons using electromagnetic induction. Here we go. Thought and memory interface. All the subsystems mentioned in this chapter work together. There are most definitely many more, but this our independent investigators have been able to obtain through roughly 650 interviews, extensive DARPA research, ex-CIA agents turned good, and accidental leaks from Directed Energy Directorate and Joint Forces Command and Control personnel. Thought and Memory Interface stands for Thought and Memory Interface, where T.A.M.I stands for Thought Memory. Since the military culture is chauvinistic, they gave this chatty babble-botted program a female acronym. It has many purposes, such as making the target talk about subjects of knowledge, a type of automated mind interrogation program. T.A.M.I is jokingly referred to as the female board commander from the TV series called Star Trek, since this piece of software has lots of intelligence and links to the mind of the droned humans. Others in psychic warfare programs refer to her as Mother. The diagram below illustrates the architecture of the components and systems. And there's no diagram, but to show, or I would explain it. This is called Jubilee and Jubilo and Fee-Fi-Fo-Fum. During the interrogation of individual psychology, fill-in-the-blank and rhyming games are often employed. It's a speech, unique, intrusive kind of mind probing that relies on forced speech generated by T.A.M.I or a live cloner. Evoke potentials of brain spikes, recognition, meanings, words, and events and people. A discussion question. He does this in his books. How does a militant dominant cultural virus spontaneously form in many countries and civilizations? How are ethical people eliminated from the construct and judgment? A government. How are ethical people transformed once they acquire a position of authority? So now I'm going to be talking about the Christ program. Common human routines, interference, software technology. Conform or be destroyed. You're with us or against us. Subtext of those who are not independent thinkers. This acronym stands for Behavior Pattern Prediction and Classification Software and Coveted Database, whose initial control was by the CIA, located in Colorado, according to Dr. B.F. Skinner at Harvard. It started off as a profiling tool, but expanded into a total information awareness and a way to data mine for various groups, behavioral patterns, spies, and possible dissidents. The Christ program, or I'll say it again, Common Human Routines, Inference Software Technology, is a personality segmented program which uses many factors, but in recent decades it's become feasible to add credit card purchase, other shopping patterns, interest groups, travel, lifestyle, web browsing patterns, phone, email, speech prints, TV watching patterns, books and movies, etc. This develops the full picture of the individual and human networks. Newer technology allows GPS tracking of individuals, their route patterns, speaking patterns, and word choice. This is total information awareness of individuals. With remote mind monitoring, even sleeping patterns can be tracked. Now I'm going to go to this. Now he's talking about the Satan network. Silent assassination through adaptive networks. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you mad, said Aldous Huxley. We have been trying to concentrate evil as humans understand it to create weaponry that attacked information systems of the brain and body. I didn't know we were fully doing it at the time I served. I regret what I did. That's a former DARPA scientist. Don't give his name. The basic concept behind the silent assassination is not to stage a suicide, but to cause one. The U.S. government calls them self-manipulated murder-suicide. This is just one objective of the weapon system in the total acronym Satan. This is equivalent of the physical renditions of torture of a subject every day while leaving a gun by his side in a contained room, and then the torturer claiming, I'm not responsible for their death. They killed themselves. It's equivalent to putting a knife in someone's hand, grabbing their hand, and forcing them to stab themselves. One must understand their enemy in order to defend against them or defeat them. The system is very aptly named Satan. Only through severe leaks in the intelligent community was the precise and accurate acronym for this system technique uncovered in estranged biblical prophecy, science, military science, and sociology seem to converge at this point in time of species development. Torture is a strange topic to understand. Trauma-based conditioning can break down the will of any human being like breaking a horse. Psychologists have stated that every traumatic event weakens the individual for similar future stress. That is not always the case. The military has a program called SERE, S-E-R-E, which gives operatives some experience of what torture might be like. It's supposed to harden them against torture methods. Stress conditioning techniques can both sensitize or desensitize the subject to stressful events, such as lying, fight or flight biological responses so that they can be more logical and effective, or to be forced to tell the truth and give up their will to avoid more stress. War is hell. The mind-cloning army truly has done a deal with the devil. The religious metaphor is exceptionally appropriate with this weapon system. This psychic warrior gives up their soul while heterodyning with a host mind as well as the typically unwilling host. This was the inspiration for the title of this book, Project Soulcatcher. Their information patterns make them up are significantly altered with a combined collective hive mind configuration, one mind trying to overpower the will of the other. One must truly hate what they agree to alter their soul. So one must truly hate what they are to agree to alter their soul significantly. Satan made me do it has become the popular folklore as an excuse for many horrific crimes. In many mind-hacking cases, the words could not be truer, given the acronym of the weapon system controlling their thought processes during the crime spree. Review the section on the new kinds of crimes that the justice system around the world do not yet recognize that respond from the abuse of this technology. And I'm going to finish with that. God bless y'all. And like I say, just look for some videos in this next week. I'm going to do one every day just to check in and let y'all know I'm okay. And I hope y'all understand what I read. Any questions, I'd be glad to answer them in comments and, help y'all understand if I went too fast, Anyway, God bless y'all. Y'all have a great night.